The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio. From hot dogs to cool kitties, this is Darkside of the Pooch.
Welcome back to another exhilarating Dark Side of the Pooch. Dr. Rab, what you got?
Ow.
Oh, I like that. That's good. He is Dr. Rab. I like that. He is Dr. Rab Stewart of the Rossbridge Animal Hospital at Rossbridge Vet on Twitter, the Rossbridge Animal Hospital on Facebook, and of course, you can also give them a call at 208-0301. And they're right there at the Rossbridge Animal Hospital. They're fantastic, and we do Dark Side of Pooch. We got some Mutt Mail coming up here. I want to get into a little topic here. I think this is really interesting here. Tucson. You ever been to Tucson?
I have. I have been to Tucson a few times, actually.
Did you know that Tucson is known as America's best dog town? Did you realize that?
Whoa. I did not know that. I want to know why.
But they have unleashed a brand new law, a leash law for dogs, and it's gotten so bad for people having their dogs off leashes that they've now hired 5 dog leash enforcement officers who can give you a $300 ticket if your dog is in a public park without a leash. We have not had any bites. We haven't had any attacks in Tucson, but they're giving out these tickets like it's hot bread, man. Every time they're turning around, if you get your dog off a leash, you're getting a $300 ticket. Talk about the benefits to having leash laws and also what dogs think about being leashed up, because a lot of people believe that animals don't get a lot of exercise if they're not allowed to just like lay it out, just run and sprint. I've got Rainer. I put him on a leash when I get him on the golf course and there's no one around. I take him off the leash and I'll just let him chase some geese or something like that. And he seems to love it. But talk about leash laws in general, how good they are, how important they are, and then do animals get as much exercise if they're on a leash?
I love this question. Leashes are incredibly important. I had a friend of mine. He lives in New York. And his wife had a family member who was mauled by, I'm not going to say the breed because it's not important. You know, there are no bad breeds. There are just bad dogs.
Yep.
Okay. But this person was mauled severely because the dog was not on a leash. She spent several days in the hospital. Like at one point they thought she might die. So, that's a story that's kind of somewhat close to me personally. And from time to time we see dogs and where we are and it's nothing, most of the time it's not malicious. It's like, hey, my kid was going out to the mailbox to get the mail.
Yep. And
the dog got out and it's not a super friendly dog. And there was somebody else walking their dog and that dog was on a leash, but the dog who ran out of the house, attacked the other dog.
Yeah.
I had the other day I had another client who that exact thing happened and she got eaten up because she tried to break the fight up and she had some bites on her hand and so she had to go to the ER. So I think that people don't like leashes because they're like me and they have a dog that is not well mannered and they pull on the leash.
Yep.
And it's not fun to have the dog on a leash because they don't think the dog wants to be on a leash and wants to be free and run around. In that regard, I have failed to train my dog properly. It will not happen again, though. My future dogs will go through proper training. Proper leash training is important. I think that's why people don't want them, because it's a pain to train your dog. And if you haven't trained your dog, it's a pain to have a dog on a leash because all they do is try to pull you down most of the time.
And again, like everything else, the more you walk them on a leash, the better they will be.
That's true. That's true. And you don't have to go through, if you don't want to go through an expensive training program with your pet, you don't have to do that right away. There's all kind of tools. We've talked before about prong collars and how they are totally humane. There's nothing wrong with them. And if you go and you get a properly fitted prong collar, you can teach your dog a lot just with you at home with a long leash and a prong collar. So the way that you do that is they wear the collar and they wear a leash in the house. And if they do something that you deem is bad behavior, they're getting into the trash, they're jumping up on a guest, they're trying to eat food off the counter, whatever. You have a long leash, you have to be near them, and when they have that behavior, you just pick up the leash and you just gently pull.
Yeah.
And just doing that alone over time will do wonders. And if you walk your dog with a prong collar, and they pull, most dogs will get the hint pretty quickly. It's not inhumane. It's a great tool.
And we're blessed enough here. There's a dog park. We have a dog park right off of Highway 280 if you can afford to do that as well. And the cool thing about this particular park, and they don't spend any money with us, but my dogs belong there for a period of time. You bring your dog in, you have an interview process, you make sure your dog is not a predator or anything else like that. They approve of your breed, and you can go to the dog park and just let them run with other dogs. And it's a great thing. And I know there's not a lot of towns that have those dog parks. Perhaps Tucson is one of those. So great stuff there. All right, let's get into some Mutt Mail here. Steve from Atlanta, he doesn't mention the breed of dog he has, but he says he stinks a lot. He said, how often can I give my dog a bath? That's another thing that dog owners don't like to necessarily do. But I'll tell you one thing, man, I love petting my dogs after they've had a good bath.
Yeah, you can bathe your dog and not have to worry about stripping off their natural oils or drying out their skin if you bathe them once every 2 weeks or less frequently. So, you can bathe your dog more often than once every 2 weeks. If you're not causing any problems, if you want to, you could bathe your dog every day as long as their skin's not getting dried out. But that's kind of the line of demarcation to where if you do have a dog that is prone to skin issues, do not bathe them more than once every 2 weeks. But if the dog doesn't have a problem with dry skin or dry hair coat or dermatitis and things like that, then you can bathe them as often as you want to. But I think the bigger question is, why does the dog stink?
Yeah.
If the dog is sitting around the house and just basically being a house dog and not running outside for hours on end, rolling around and gross stuff, then the smell, if it's hanging around, it could be an issue. So if it's like a fishy smell, that could be their anal glands or anal sacs that are being expressed, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But they could have a fungal infection or a bacterial infection on their skin or in their ears. Some people will say, my dog stinks, but it's actually their mouth. Have bad dental disease, and it's their breath that's so bad. Or if they spend some time licking, if their teeth are bad, if they've licked their skin or their fur, then that's going to smell bad. So, that's your answer on the bathing. But I would say if you have trouble with an odor, you might want to try to figure out the root of the problem. There may be a medical issue, there may not be.
Are there some breeds that do smell more than others outside? It seems like beagles. Maybe it's because I had beagles. I lived next to beagles. They always stunk, but they were always outside and they were running around their own doo. But for the most part, do all dogs pretty much smell the same? If you kept every breed of dog inside a home, would they all smell the same after about a week?
Yeah, no dog's really smellier than any other dog. I haven't been able to figure out, but when my dog goes outside and runs around and spends even a small period of time from being outside, he comes in and he has a strange smell. It doesn't last long, but it's not an anal gland smell. He didn't run through anything. He didn't, eat poop or, there's nothing like that. But he has a very distinctive smell when he comes in from outside.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to pinpoint it. It doesn't last long. So, I don't know. Maybe Steve, I think you said his name, Steve. Maybe Steve is, maybe that's going on potentially.
Yeah. Stacy in Atlanta says she has a cat that had a litter a couple years ago. She thought it'd be really cool to bring all the kittens. She gave the kittens away to bring all the kittens back to see their mother. And she said it ended horribly. They all got into a huge fight. She said, is that typical for mother cats to get in fights with their offspring?
Well, it's just typical for cats, period. So the answer is yes. But I think even if they were not related and they were not that cat's offspring, then I think that the likelihood of them getting into a fight would have been just the same. Introducing cats can be a tough thing to do in a household. And I know this wasn't, this was just hey, let's get the gang back together and just let them play.
Yeah.
But anytime you introduce cats, either for a short period of time or a long period of time, they might not get along, and they can make your life and your house not so fun.
Do mothers know that they're her kittens? Well, can they smell the fact that they're in the same family?
I mean, you would think so. I mean, you would think that they would have to, but I don't. But then again, I couldn't tell you 100%.
Yeah. Rossbridge Animal Hospital's Dr. Rab Stewart. He's fantastic. Darkside the Pooch. We do it every Monday. It's Darkside the Pooch Mondays here on Tony Kurre Radio at noon and 8. And, of course, the great thing about this is these shows are fantastic. You can listen to all of the shows. There's I don't know how many different shows we've done already. Been doing it for years. Go to Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. Search Tony Kurre Radio. It's Kurre with a K, or Darkside the Pooch. I can promise you the only podcast called Darkside the Pooch, and you can listen to as many episodes as you want. Toby in Huntsville on our Mutt Mail says, can you tell what a cat wants by the sound of its meow?
I don't know if you could say exactly what it wants, but you can definitely get an idea of what the cat's demeanor is by the sound it's making. So I guess the answer to that question would be yes, with the, understanding that it's more of you could have like maybe 3 emotions, just for example, happiness or contentment, fear or anger. And I think like all of the hundreds of sounds a cat can make, I think you could put those sounds into each of those 3 categories pretty easily. So, I don't think that you could say, oh, well, when the cat makes this sound, it wants, dry food. And when the cat makes this sound, it wants canned food. I don't think you could get that specific, but they do have certain sounds that they will make when they're happy, when they're angry, or when they're fearful.
All right, let's play a little game here since you're the cat expert. You're a cat. Give me your hungry cat meow. Well, that's pretty good. Okay, give me your cat in heat. All right. I think I've heard that before outside my bedroom window. Give me a cat. Give me a cat in pain.
I've heard it inside my bedroom.
Yeah.
I've heard it inside my.
Give me a cat in pain. Okay, and then give me. This was James Michael Keith's idea, by the way. This is brilliant. Give me your cat that you want to be pet.
Oh, that's just a purring. Brrr.
Okay, and that's a content cat too. It sounds the same.
Yeah.
All right, that was awesome. I think we got ourselves a promo. Tanya in Louisville.
That was maybe the most professional thing I've ever done.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Tanya in Louisville said, "Are the rules same for dogs and humans when it comes to pre-surgical days?" This is a great question. I know that whenever humans have surgery, they can't eat or drink anything after midnight, depending on what type of surgery it is. What is it like for animals? I know you've done a lot of animal surgeries.
Yeah, the rules are very similar. So we tell people to take up the food by 10 p.m. and we try to limit water as much as possible. I tell people that, they can have maybe just a tiny bit of water the morning of surgery, but that's it. I mean, because and I guess some people out there, it's probably pretty obvious why we do that. It's because when you have sedatives or anesthesia, you can vomit. And when you are unconscious or semi-conscious after anesthesia, before, during, or after anesthesia during that period, and you vomit, your airway is not protected because you're half or fully anesthetized. And so when your airway is not protected and you vomit, then you can easily inhale whatever you throw up. And depending on how much you inhale, it could be immediately fatal. You can have very, very little time if your airway gets completely obstructed to do anything about it. So if we want the stomach to be empty, just in case they vomit, they won't aspirate anything, or maybe they'll just aspirate a small amount of liquid, which is manageable. But if you throw up a full stomach of food and breathe that in, I mean, you could be gone in a matter of minutes.
Yeah. And that goes for water too, you said?
Yeah. Well, water's not as bad because, you know, the lungs can handle a small amount of water, you know, a small amount, not much. I mean, think about it. You're like, you know, you're drowning. If you throw up water and you aspirate it, you're drowning, you know? So you still have to be careful with water. But you know, it's hard to get your stomach completely empty of liquid. I mean, it's not, you know, that's not impossible, but I mean, the stomach, I mean, to some degree, and I mean, in a roundabout way, it makes liquid, you know?
That's true.
So the rules are very similar when it comes to eating and drinking on days of surgery.
This is Darkside the Pooch with Dr. Rab Stewart, the Rossbridge Animal Hospital at Rossbridge Vet on Twitter, the Rossbridge Animal Hospital on Facebook page. I got a great Facebook page, and of course you can check them out and give them a call, 205-208-0301. Pam near Tannehill State Park said, can I give my dog Benadryl for allergies, and are there any other topical uses? Is that something that a lot of animals have, allergies?
Yeah, a lot of animals have allergies, and you can give Benadryl. It's an antihistamine, of course. Most people know that. You can, most of the time when we're using it, we're telling people to give it orally and not topically. But Benadryl it's pretty hit or miss as an antihistamine for allergies for dogs. And some people would want to use it for like the sedative properties, and that's really not something that we see very often with dogs when they take Benadryl. But they're, you know, antihistamines in general in dogs for allergies are not great. So hydroxyzine is another antihistamine. Cetirizine is another one. You know, you can use things like Zyrtec and Claritin. You know, all of these things are safe for dogs, but they just may not be incredibly effective. It doesn't mean you can't try them. I mean, we tell people all the time you can try them, and if it doesn't help, let us know.
I got you. Sam in Atlanta, we get a lot of people from Atlanta in our Mutt Mail here, wants to know, can dogs have sleep apnea? And if they do, can they have a sleep study? He said his dog just basically walks around all night long, has weird sleeping patterns, naps a little bit. It's not an old dog, but wonders about his dog's sleeping habits.
I don't really know enough about sleep apnea in people to tell you if dogs get it or not.
Yeah.
But there are things that in the back of their, like around their pharynx, their epiglottis and the back of their throat, basically, they can have conditions where things don't sit quite right. So their soft palate can be too long and it can trap their epiglottis. They can have these little saccules in the pharyngeal area in the pharynx, and those poke out. You know, they're everted pharyngeal sacs. And these are things that can cause problems with airways when they're awake or sleeping. So, but you know, I think that might kind of be similar to sleep apnea in people, but I don't know enough about the people side of that to give you a great answer.
Okay. I know dogs can snore. I've heard snoring dogs before, so that should tell you something. Trish in Birmingham, specific question for Dr. Rab. She has a 6-year-old wire fox terrier. I had one of those, one of the best dogs I ever had, super smart dog. She said, how would Dr. Rab describe your dog's best day? If a dog said, this is what I want today for my best day for a dog, what would that be for Dr. Rab's dog?
Oh, my dog. Just to be able to go outside whenever he wants.
Yes.
And stay outside for as long as he wants. Even if it's 5 minutes or if it's 5 hours, he wants me to stare at him. And when he stands up and walks to the door, he wants me to let him out. And then he wants me to stand at the door, not on the inside. He wants me to stand on the outside of the door and just stand there. And when he is done doing whatever he wants to do, he wants to come inside. He wants me to leave either the front gate open or the back gate open, and then close my eyes so he can run away and either get into someone's garbage while he's running away.
Yes.
Or play Frogger in the street and see how many cars he can make swerve out of the way so he doesn't get hit. And then he wants me to give him all of the meat products in the house.
There you
all
go.
of them.
That's
it.
That would be a great day for a dog. I love that. I want to be your dog for a day. What are you talking about? Hey,
Iggy Pop has a song now. I want to be your dog.
There you go. Speaking of playing Frogger in the street, any way to stop a dog from chasing cars? I haven't had one of those type of dogs in a while. I never understood. I have a dog, Rainer. He will chase golf carts, but he is deathly afraid of cars, which is a great thing. But if it's a bicycle or a golf cart, he will run it down, but he does not like cars. Is it basically on the size of it? And how do you keep dogs from chasing cars?
This is a no-brainer, but if you don't have some kind of barrier, to keep them out of the road, then I would get a shock collar for them.
Okay.
And you can train them to, just like when we talked about at the opening, it takes time, like with the prong collar. Well, this is going to take time with a shock collar. You got to be outside with them, and you have to have somebody hold them on a leash and let them get close to the road. And when they do, you got to buzz them.
Yeah.
This is not something that's inhumane. But if you work with them in that way, then they should learn every time I get close to this, busy road with cars, I get a little buzz. I don't think I want to do this anymore. Yeah. And, that'll be a pretty good way. If you can't put up a fence, or, you can't do one of these underground fences or whatever. And those electric collars are a great training tool for just about anything that you want your dog to do or not do.
They really are. My ex-wife put a bark collar on our blue heeler, and it worked magnificently. And the only thing is, you want to make sure you take that bark collar off, because you want your dog to bark, and it's how it speaks. And if you keep it on there, it'll never bark, but it works magnificently. Les in Birmingham said, dogs know their name, but can they differentiate the names of family members, human family members?
Mine can. Yeah. Mine definitely can. Because it's just like they can learn their name, they can learn, if they're perceptive enough, and when you call someone in the house and that person responds, the dog can put two and two together. And we've talked before about the dog that could recognize so many names of toys and different classifications and qualifications of those toys. Then they can definitely learn people's names for sure. Like, you could say, I think to my dog, you could say, hey, my son's name is Robert. Hey, where's Robert? Yeah. And I think that my dog would go look for him.
There you go. This is Darkside the Pooch. We do it every Monday. Darkside the Pooch Mondays here on Tony Kurre Radio, one of our longest lasting shows. And I love doing the show with Dr. Rab Stewart in the Rossbridge Animal Hospital, at Rossbridge Vet on Twitter, the Rossbridge Animal Hospital on Facebook. And of course, you can call them anytime. They're always looking for business. They're the best, man. No doubt. 205-208-0301. Springtime. We're going to be out walking our dogs again. Make sure you put the leash on. Anything exciting happening there at Rossbridge Animal Hospital you want to share with us before we let you go?
Just the normal stuff. I was really excited on the musical side. I got to see Little Feat.
Oh yeah, I heard it was a great show. Was it awesome?
It was an awesome show. I had 3 surviving members from Little Feat still in the band, and the guys that they got to fill in for Lowell George and Paul, I guess Beret is how you pronounce it. Those guys were great. They hit all the notes. They played Waiting for Columbus from front to back.
Nice.
And it was fantastic.
I got a chance to bring them on stage at the Oak Mountain Amphitheater. I think it was 1992 or 93. There were 13 guys in the band. They were supporting the Let It Roll album, which was, I like Fat Man in the Bathtub, and I like Dixie Chicken. I like some of their classics, but that was it's still one of my favorite albums. I love Hate to Lose Your Love, and Let It Roll. It was fantastic. So I will certainly agree with you on that, man. Well, great stuff. Greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We'll catch up with you next week, and let's talk some more concerts, some more pooches and kitty cats, okay?
Let's do it, man.
Thank you, brother.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.